Let's go ahead and settle in, everybody. Hello, welcome back to my Absolutely Fried podcast. My name is Jezabelle. Today's podcast is going to be just a little bit different than what we're used to, but I hope that you will be excited for it, just like every other episode. Let me just first go ahead and say, if you're watching on YouTube, hello. Please don't forget to subscribe. If you're more of a listener than a viewer, just know that this podcast is available to you on every streaming platform. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Samsung, Amazon, you name it, it's there. Just search Absolutely Fried and it'll pop up. But you can also check the description for the links. First of all, happy Wednesday Thursday. And if you're watching on YouTube, happy Friday. I hope that you all have been having a great week. If you look up here next to me, you will see that it says all of July subscriptions are being donated. This is true. I want to take a minute before we even get into anything. I recently had a friend who got into a horrendous, horrible accident. They were involved in a hit and run while on their motorcycle, and they've been suffering a lot. They lost a quarter of their leg. They broke 2 femurs. They threw a blood clot in their lung. They are currently unable to walk. They even flatlined, I'm pretty sure, in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, if not at the hospital. And their recovery is going to be very lengthy, and there is hope that they'll be able to walk again in the future. But this situation is very difficult for them, and it's definitely going to be a long road for them. And like I said, it's a hit and run, so they have absolutely no idea who did it. They don't know who's at fault. They don't know anything. They don't know the person. So at the moment, my friend is currently just in the hospital. I think they just finished up yesterday their last round of surgeries. Thank God they got through that. And so now the recovery process kind of just starts for them. He's still in the hospital right now, but I'm keeping in touch with him every day. He's doing as best as he can be in this situation. You know, it's very difficult. He's super young. He's my age. He's like 24 years old. Let me tell you, he had already recently just been laid off, and he was in the midst of Instacarting just to make ends meet. And he was just trying to get home that night, and somebody that was speeding on the wrong side of the road hit them and drove off, and now we're in this situation. And if I can tell you anything about him, his name is Brandarius, but I call him Brandy. That's what I've always called him. Brandy is a hilarious person. He is very kind. He is somebody that is there for everybody anytime you need him. He is a great friend. He has so many people who love and care about him. And this is definitely a situation that shouldn't have happened to, first of all, anybody, but let alone, for sure, not somebody like him. But a lot of the time, that's how these situations are. So I wanted to go ahead and dedicate today's podcast to him. If you're watching on YouTube, I am going to link below in the comments and also in the description a link to his GoFundMe if you would like to share the link or donate or even just pass on some prayers to him. That would be very much appreciated. If you're somebody that wants to get a little something out of your donation, I urge you to come and subscribe on Twitch. Look, dude, I don't just do the podcast. I live stream 3 days a week. We're on here for many hours, and you can come have ad-free viewing on Twitch. And I promise you your subscription will be donated. All subscriptions from this month are going to be donated to him. So, hey, yo, I would truly appreciate if out of any month you guys subscribe this month. And I would appreciate even just anything helps. Understand that anything helps him in this situation, even if it's just a prayer or even just sharing his link. I would totally appreciate that, and he would as well. So today's podcast episode is dedicated to Brandy and his recovery. I love you so much, and you're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through it together. Anyway, let's get into today's podcast episode. You know, I've been feeling quite a bit moved after this situation with him, to be honest with you. Thank you to anybody who is gifting subs. Shout out to Rue. Thank you so much. Situations like this are near-death experiences. I mean, he told me that he met what he believes is he went to heaven. And you hear this from a lot of people, actually, when they get into near-death experiences like this. typically they'll tell you about their experience. I'm sure there are people out there that have said that they've just like experienced nothing, but most of every story that I've ever heard from anyone that I know or read on Reddit, because buddy, I've done deep ass fucking dives on this shit. Matter of fact, before we even get into this, let me go ahead and take a hit, because this is definitely one of those conversations that's a whole lot fucking better when you're fried. So near-death experiences. We haven't had a podcast episode like this in a while. If you've been with the podcast for the 2 years that it's been around, actually, we used to have like a running joke on the podcast where there was not a single episode that I couldn't not talk about death. The topic of death always came up, and it was a running joke that we would be like, oh my God, like we're getting to the end of today's episode, like, and we didn't talk about it, and boom, it comes up. But today, we're talking about it, okay? We're talking about it. A lot of people will have these near-death experiences, and they'll find that when they're in the moment of whatever injury is causing them this, they'll say that they feel good, you know, when they're basically like about to pass away. They feel good, they feel warm, they go somewhere that's happy. And scientifically, it's most likely DMT being released in your body, because if you don't know what DMT is, yes, it's a drug, but it's also something that's naturally occurring in your body that releases when your body assumes that it's about to die, and it's your body's way of distracting it from that idea. It's your body's way of distracting itself from the fact that something bad is happening to you and all the pain that you're experiencing. DMT gets released so your body feels euphoric. So if anything, the process of dying is probably not good, probably painful, right? But the process of actual death is not painful. I think you hear from people who have experienced stuff like this that they'll tell you it's actually quite easy. But he told me that he had like a spiritual kind of awakening, or a very spiritual experience when this accident happened to him, because when he passed away in the ambulance for a moment, he said that he went to this very warm place, and he said it was like an open field, and he was surrounded by flowers, and in that field was his grandmother. And he went up to her. His grandmother had passed away. This is someone who's passed away. He goes up to her and she just hugs him. And he said it felt like he was there for an eternity. An eternity is what it felt like to him, which is crazy to hear because, well, obviously he wasn't dead for that long. They brought him back. And he said that he was there for what felt like an eternity. And then all of a sudden his grandmother says to him, like, now's not your time, and like shoves him away. And then that's when he woke up and he was in the hospital. So an experience like that is absolutely like very spiritual to me. Experiences like this, hearing stuff like this from other people, kind of just like solidifies I know everybody has their own different beliefs, whether it is you're religious or you're not, or you're spiritual or you're not. Some people genuinely believe that just nothing happens, and buddy, more power to you. I feel like, in all honesty, like maybe living I feel like being somebody who doesn't believe in anything is probably, I'm gonna be real with you, the best way to live. If you're able to convince yourself that like nothing else exists outside of this, like nothing spiritual, nothing religious, I feel like that's the best way to live, because there's no anxiety surrounding it. I feel like there's a lot of anxiety surrounding like, well, what happens after this? Is there something after this? Is it good? Is it bad? Am I going to heaven? Am I going to hell? Like stuff like that bounces around like your average person's head all the time. So if you're somebody who's just accepted that there's nothing, then you don't have to worry about that. Your life is probably a whole lot more calm, a whole lot smoother to live, to be honest with you. But me personally, I am both. I am very religious. I am very spiritual. I believe in God. I don't have a specific path, to be honest with you. I was raised Catholic, but my parents raised me very, very, very open to religion. So my grandmother was actually a nun, and she became a nun after my grandfather passed away, which was when my father was very young. I think it happened when he was like 9 years old. She became a nun, and my father was raised Catholic. He actually went to all Catholic schools, and it was kind of like beat into, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, you know, if you're somebody of like an older generation, I don't know if it's still like that for like, for Catholic schools, but when you're from an older generation, they used to beat kids in school. That's insane to me. They used to fucking beat kids. I don't know if they did it in public school, but they used to beat kids back then just straight up in the middle of class. And my dad used to tell me about all the times he got beat in class. And he used to say that they were really mean to him. It wasn't just like, oh, you got something wrong or like you were bad in class and so you're going to get like a paddle to your ass. Like my dad said that he actually used to write with both his hands. Like he was, what's it called? Ambidextrous or some shit like that. He used to be able to write with both his hands, but to them, it was wrong to write with any hand other than your right hand. So if he was even caught writing with his left hand, he got beat. What the fuck? Right? Like, what the fuck? Like, that's actually crazy. But yeah, they used to take rulers. They used to have like a paddle just straight up in the class where they would just like beat kids in front of everybody in the classroom. They didn't even do it behind closed doors, just in front of everybody. This was a common form of like, of what's it called? Punishment in a fucking classroom. Good fuck. So no wonder older generations like are so okay with like beating their kids. That's it. I don't want to say it's understandable because you really shouldn't beat children, but like when you think about how older generations were genuinely like treated in their brain, they're probably only using whatever knowledge that they were given on like how to raise kids, which is absolutely insane. But with that being said, my parents kind of had like being Catholic like pushed onto them. Like they had no choice. It was forced onto them. And I think that idea of religion made them, it didn't push them away from religion. As they got older, they continued to be Catholic, but I think it pushed them to not want to force it on their kids. So they didn't force it on me and my brother. In fact, it was kind of more of like, I remember having this specific conversation with my dad when I was growing up. I think I was maybe like 10 years old, 10, 11, 12. And I was like 10 or 11 years old. He sat me down after taking me to church every Sunday. And he was like, hey, you're getting older and I can see that you're not taking too much of an interest in going to church. He's like, me and your mother just kind of wanted to show you our religion and show you what it is that we believe in. But, like if you don't want to go to church, you don't have to go with us. And we want you to know that like, we want you to explore. They wanted me to explore. Like my parents were okay. They were like, if you have any questions, like come to us, talk to us. And I remember being like 11, 12 years old and coming to my parents and like talking to them about like whether or not I believe in God. I was like, oh, like I remember when I was like 12 years old, there was even a point in my life where I was like, I don't know if I believe in God. I don't even remember why I was questioning it. I just like was, and I felt comfortable going to them and bringing that up to them. And they sat me down, had full conversations with me, and I would talk about other religions, and they were like, oh, like explore Hinduism, explore being Muslim, like explore everything, like explore it. They were very open to it. And I remember my parents, what's interesting is like they're Catholic, but they're also very spiritual, which a lot of people may feel that kind of like combats the whole idea of being Catholic. But my parents are very spiritual people. I guess it's difficult to be a Latin person and not be spiritual. That's like so heavily built into the Latin community, spirituality. So I remember my parents would talk about like spirits and communicating with them, and they would talk about like brujeria and things like that. And I would be like, oh, but like, isn't that stuff bad? Like if you're like talking about spirituality and like spirits and brujeria, then like that goes against God. Like that must like, is that wrong? Like, does that mean that like we shouldn't be praying to God? And my parents sat me down and had this whole conversation. He's like, no, it goes hand in hand. Spirituality and believing in God go hand in hand. And just the type of way that I was raised, I think that I don't know if I necessarily conform to a specific type of religion. I think my way of prayer is definitely Catholic because that's how I was taught to pray. But my belief system is kind of just more like the only thing that matters to me is my relationship with God. That's all that matters to me. I don't think that there's any specific parameters. I think that just to me, I see God as like a friend. That's what I see. I see God as somebody that's there for me at all times. I see God as somebody that kind of wrote my story and knows where everything is going. I see God as somebody to just lean on, when things get rough, or even just to talk to when things are good. And I'm like, oh my God, I have so much I have to say. Like, look, I'm so grateful for this. That's kind of how I see it. I don't see that, oh, I have to go to church like twice a week or once a week. I don't see that, oh, if I don't go to confessional, then like I'm going to hell. Like, I don't see any of that. None of that like really applies to me. The only thing that I kind of follow, is like the 10 Commandments, like don't lie, don't cheat, don't kill nobody. Like it's the 10 commandments are pretty easy to like stay in line with. And I'm pretty sure like most religion, like all religions across the board have like a belief system like that, where it's like you know, you have like, what is it called, like the pillars of faith, then there's the 10 commandments, and then there's like other stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, like if you're following that shit, like I think you're pretty good. I think you're pretty good. Like I would be honest with you, I think that you're fine. Because, you know, as somebody who spent a lot of time like researching into different religions, you kind of find that they're all kind of the same, to be honest with you. You know, like they all believe in this, like most of them, like pretty much all believe in this higher being, right? Or higher beings. But there's just like a different way of getting there. You know what I mean? Kind of like the same situation, but they just took different paths to get there. And even so, even the ones that are like religions that believe in like multiple gods, what is it called? Polytheistic religions, I believe. Even though they believe in multiple gods, it's kind of the same shit to me in my own head as a monotheistic religion, to be honest. Because a monotheistic religion, I think, just encompasses all of those gods, but just into one. And I think, in all honesty, if you want me to be real with you, I feel like it just makes it easier to understand. Versus when you think of like a polytheistic religion, I think that instead of it being one person, they break this one person down into all these different gods, where it's like, you know, there's the god of war, there's the god of love, there's like all these different gods that are for very specific things. And I think it just gets a lot more detailed with polytheistic religions, which in my opinion, I think it makes them more interesting. But I think all around religion is just a very interesting topic. And like I said before, I think you're living like probably like the easiest path if you choose not to believe in anything. But like at the same time, I couldn't not see myself believing in something. Even just for like the lore aspect of like how interesting it is to believe in this. Like my favorite religion, like if I really had to pick one, my favorite religion, Hinduism. Bro, have y'all researched into fucking Hinduism? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That religion is so cool. It's literally the coolest religion. I think that it breaks things down in the most detailed way. Oh my God, I'm pretty sure they have the most religious texts. Like there's so many different, there's not like one Bible. It's like broken up into like, I think 7 different books. Like it's so many, and it's so incredibly detailed. And it's so interesting to me that when they want things, or when they need things, or when they need to give thanks or anything like that, any reason, when they go to pray, they pray to a very specific person or God. You know, it's not like, let's just pray to God. It's like, we need to pray to goddess of such and such. Like that, I don't know. I think the concept of it is so cool. The concept of the religion is so interesting to me. Hinduism is honestly my favorite. Someone said it's the oldest, I think. You know, you want me to be real with you. Here's how I feel about religion. And I know it can be a touchy topic for some people. Some people are very like headstrong and set in what they believe in. And baby, do that. Be you, for sure. You know, if that's how you feel, if that's what you believe, if that's your, like I said, the only thing that matters for me is my relationship with God. And so if your relationship with God is being super like, you know, like headstrong and like set in this one path, baby, that's your relationship. And there ain't nothing wrong with it. You know, just don't push it on other people, but ain't nothing wrong with it. If I had to pick, like I said, I believe that they're all pretty much the same thing, but I think that they just have a different path of getting to this one goal, you know? But if I had to pick one that I think is right, I think the Hinduism is correct. I don't know why, but just I feel, I mean, the amount of detail that went into this shit, honestly, truly, I don't know. Honestly, truly, my main reasoning was, this sounds so stupid. I'm literally not even gonna lie to you. It sounds so fucking dumb. My favorite, like my honest reasoning is that I tripped like balls one time. Okay. I know it sounds so stupid, but stick with me here. I took 7 grams. 7 grams of shrooms. All right. Jezabelle, why the fuck, who the hell takes 7 grams? That's a lot, baby. That's a lot. You're like, nobody takes 7 grams to just have a trip. No. As someone taking 7 grams got a purpose, right? Like if you want to just turn around and trip, you take a 3-5. That's what you take, right? 7 grams, buddy. I had people used to joke with me. They would say to me, they're like, you were trying to see God. I was. I'm not even shitting you. I literally had a goal in mind when I took 7. I like had a goal in mind, right? And so what pushed me to do this? This was back during a time in my life where I was tripping a lot. And if you want me to be honest with you, I was tripping so much because I was going through a lot. And I was searching for answers. And to be honest with you, shrooms just kind of came about. If you want me to be completely open with you, it was the most difficult time in my life. I was struggling so fucking hard. And I would have been open to doing anything. If somebody had given me pills during that time, I would have done pills. If somebody would, like, honestly, like, I would have done anything to just get myself out of the mindset that I was in. I was heavily drinking. I was drinking every single night. I'm not even shitting you. I was drinking like a bottle of wine. I was putting that shit away. I was drinking beer. I was drinking hard liquor, no mixer, no nothing, just pulling back alcohol. Like, it was a very dark and hard time in my life. And thankfully, the people that I was surrounded by were not people who would partake in hard drugs. The people that I was around were people that were shoving like a whole eighth into a blunt, like rolling gorilla fingers and like, Jezabelle, just face this blunt. Just face this blunt. That's what it is. Like, you don't need pills, baby. Like, face this blunt. But like, weed just wasn't enough. I was struggling so hard and I was like, I need more. Well, I had this friend at the time that I have talked about many times. His name is Bryce. He is a person that I told you guys about, if you've seen previous podcast episodes, that made kush-ups, for me at least. He's not the inventor of it, but for me, he's the inventor in my head. Kush-ups. Now, kush-ups can be one of two different things. Kush-ups for some people are like when you have like that extra little bit of rolling paper on your joint and like you push it up. That's a kush-up. But a kush-up to me was when Bryce would get so fried, he would just drop down to the floor and start doing push-ups. I like, out of nowhere, mid-sentence, like you'd be talking to him, right? Like mid-conversation, he's in the middle of talking. He would stop in the middle of his sentence, drop down, do like 50 push-ups, stand back up and get right back into the topic of conversation. He would pick up right where he left off on that sentence. I, to this day, don't know why he would do that. I've brought it up to him because he flies out to LA to come and like visit. I've brought it up to him before. I'm like, yo, like, why did you do that? And he'd be like, I don't know. That's just the kush-ups. It's just the kush-ups. Like, and so I've found that this is a common thing. Like, there's a lot of people who just do that. They just hit the ground and just do a few push-ups real quick. Like, I've never had the urge to do it. I tried to force myself to do it one time, but I was out of fucking breath. That was not fun. I don't understand how you guys do that and think that this is enjoyable. That was horrendous. I'm never doing it willingly. Anyway, thankfully that was the type of people that I had around me. And, so when Bryce found out how I was feeling, he was like, you want to do something else? He's like, I got an idea for you. Have you ever done shrooms? Man, I didn't even know what shrooms were during this time. This was basically my first time. I think I knew of their existence, right? But I had no idea what the fuck I was in for. But he was like, this will be some life-changing shit. This is going to change your life. He's like, it might just be honestly what you need. See, the thing about Bryce is, man, I gotta have him on a fucking podcast episode. Honestly, guys, there's no way I could put into words the type of person that he is. Anytime he's the type of person that's like, anytime he consumes anything, he's consumed a shit ton of acid, a shit ton of shrooms, so much weed, more weed than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. He's actually like crazy. For him, it's all a spiritual experience. It's all a spiritual experience. And I gotta get him on here to just have him talk, because you guys think I could yap? Wait till you hear Bryce. We need to have a Bryce episode. But thankfully he was around me. He's like, you gotta do shrooms. Like, he's like explaining to me like it could be a very like it could be an experience that really helps you. And he talked to me about ego death and like breaking down everything that I have going on. So boom, I start doing shrooms. As I take shrooms, I start like, you have to trip to understand what it is that I'm talking about. But here's one thing that so many people talk about when they trip. Are you ready? Hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics. When you trip, you see that shit everywhere. I'm talking about, I would look down at my clothing and they would just be covered in hieroglyphics. And I'm sitting here, like when I'm like tripping, I'm like reading it and I'm like, yo, I know what this means. Like, I have the answers to life, like type shit. Like, I'm reading and understanding this. And I like convinced myself, like in my head, I'm like, dude, shrooms is a fucking spiritual experience. I don't care what anyone says. Like, you close your eyes, bro. I'm telling you, people who have developed like religions and stuff, a lot of this shit is like, I swear to God, like they were tripping balls. They were tripping balls because hieroglyphics, that shit that's written on the fucking pyramids, when you trip, you see that. That's where that came from. I convinced myself in my head that's where that shit came from. When like Hinduism and Buddhism, when you trip, well, I would close my eyes. Why the fuck am I seeing Buddha? The you know, like the fat, happy, like smiley Buddha. Why the fuck when I close my eyes am I seeing that? All the different colors and like the spectrums that they have in like in Hinduism and Buddhism, you close your eyes, that's what you fucking see. Baby, I was like, I'm sitting here, this is a spiritual experience, or schizophrenic. You know what? Maybe. Or they were schizophrenic. Have I ever taken acid? I have, and I hated it, and I don't recommend it. I just think anything man-made is shit. But when I took acid, I'm a huge acid hater. It was not a spiritual experience. Acid felt like man-made shrooms. That's literally it. Like, shrooms is a spiritual experience, and it feels like it, right? But with acid, it felt like it just made me really stupid, and things were colorful, and I couldn't stop seeing stuff. But it was like stuff I didn't want to see. Like, I was tripping like on acid, and all I kept seeing in my head was like zombies and lingerie. Like, think like The Walking Dead, right? Something like that, but in like gorgeous, sexy, like Victoria's Secret lingerie. Couldn't stop seeing it. It was literally annoying. I remember like being there closing, like every time I blinked, and I was like, bro, I can't wait for this fucking trip to be over. Because I was so annoyed. I couldn't escape it. Why the fuck was that in my head? I was seeing giant like zombie tits. It was horrible. It was literally horrible. So no, I'm not an acid person, okay? But shrooms though. I was tripping, and I kept seeing hieroglyphics everywhere, and I would close my eyes, and like I said, I would see like the smiley like fat Buddha, and I would see like all those like colorful spectrums that you see when you like look these religions up, right? And so I was like, this is a spiritual thing. Like I need to understand this, right? And so I plan this trip out. I take a break. I take a long break, and I'm like, I'm gonna take 7 grams, right? I'm telling the people that I'm around, they're like, 7 grams? I'm like, yeah, I need to get my hand on 7 fucking grams of shrooms. I'm going to eat all of it, and I'm going to meet God. I'm going to meet God. And I'm going to find out how to get into heaven. I was like, that's the goal. I want to find out how to get there. Like, how do I get where I need to be? And so boom, it happens. I starve myself the whole day. I was really trying to have that shit hit. I starve myself the whole day. I go and I get a pub sub, right? I take down all 7 grams of the shrooms, and then walk to Publix to get my pub sub, because I'm like, by the time I get my pub sub and I get home, like, it's gonna start hitting, right? And I did it on an empty stomach, because everyone knows you take shrooms on an empty stomach, bitch, that shit hits you like fast as fuck and hard as fuck. And that's what I was looking for. So I pick up my pub sub. Unfortunately for me, the shrooms started hitting me when I was in the middle of Publix. But I get back to my place, and I start tripping absolute dick and balls. Oh my God. At first it was horrible, because I looked down at my body and I could see every vein in my body, every single vein. And it was to the point where I literally still have this picture on my phone too. I took a picture of my body, because like I said, I could see every vein. It was like I could see through my skin. It was like my skin was glass. And so I took a picture of it, and I took a picture for later on when I'm not tripping, so that I could like verify whether or not, like, can I actually see my veins and shit. And it's so funny, because once I stop tripping, I look at the picture, it's just a picture of my thighs. They look normal. But like when I was taking the picture, I could see through my skin. That's why it's good to have a trip sitter, because I looked to the person with me and I was like, yo, just like real quick, am I tripping, or can you see like all of my veins? And he was like, no, you're just tripping. I cannot see all your veins. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm sitting here looking at my legs like, this guy's fucking lying to me, getting paranoid and shit. But yeah, no, eventually I hit my peak. What happens at the peak? Well, at Jezabelle's peak, we nailed, because we didn't have like traditional, like we didn't have traditional curtains. We had like blinds, right? But like the light still came through. So we nailed a couple blankets to the wall over over the blind, so it was like blacked out in the room, right? And then I curled up in a hoodie on the bed in like in the fetal position, put the covers over me. And I don't know, man. The second those covers went over me and it was pitch black, it felt like I entered into like the Matrix. Like everything. Have y'all ever seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once? Like when they go to like switch, they like go through this whole thing where it's like, you know, like a change. That's what it felt like. I put the blanket over me and it went, you know, like I changed alternate realities. And all I'm seeing is all this fucking information hitting me, right? Like I'm talking about colors hitting me from everywhere, words, voices, sounds. Like I'm hearing everything. And my brain is just like absorbing everything that's happening, right? And all of a sudden I hear this one voice from this woman. And she's like, don't be afraid. She's like, tell me what it is that you seek. And I'm like, I want you to tell me. Like I'm communicating with her in my head. I'm like, I want you to tell me how to get to heaven. Like, is there a way? Is there a trick? Like, what is the point? Like, how do I get there? What do I have to do? How do I know, like, if I'm doing the right thing, right? And she's like talking to me. She's telling me about just like living a good life, right? Like being good. And then she tells me, she's like, but there's also like other ways. And she's like, if you want like a guarantee, she says to me, she's like, on this specific day, there's going to be a full blood moon. I want you to bathe yourself in wine and pray. And I remember this goddess, she had like so many arms. We're talking about Hinduism here. So many arms. And she had, I think it was like a giant lion with her, if I'm remembering correctly. And I'm like, okay. So I come out from underneath the blanket and I like pen and paper. I write everything down that she told me. And later on, like after tripping, I'm like talking to the person that I'm hanging out with about like what my experience was. And I tell him, I'm like, I need to look this shit up. I'm like, because I was like tripping like balls. I was like, what is this random date that I wrote down? I wrote down like the goddess's name. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I wrote down the goddess's name. Like she told me her name. I wrote down her description, everything, right? And first of all, we look up the date that she told me. That girl wasn't lying. It was a full blood moon. I was like, yo, I didn't know that shit like just straight up off the top of my head. Like I don't know. I had no idea about it. I didn't even know what the hell a blood moon was. So I was like, a full blood moon? How the fuck did it? She got the exact fucking date? Like, what? And then I was like, well, hold on. Let me look this goddess up. And so, like, I had spelt, like, what she said to the best of my ability. And I Google it. Why the fuck does she pop up? This girl got a bunch of arms. And she's got a lion with her. And she was like, I forgot what she was the goddess of, right? But she was the goddess of something. I just don't remember what. I was like, she exists. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, I talked to a goddess. I talked to somebody, like somebody talked back to me. What the fuck? To me, this was an entire spiritual like experience. And this experience all on its own in and of itself was enough to convince me, yo, I think the Hindus got it right. Hinduism is correct. That is if I had to tell you, if somebody, gun to my head, if somebody said, what's the correct religion? What is the religion that's actually got it down pat? Hinduism. Literally for that one. And let me tell you, that was the last time I ever tripped like dick and balls. Never did it again. That was enough. That experience was enough. I didn't do what she told me to do, which was like the bathing myself in wine and shit like that. I didn't do that. But fucking blew my mind. That shit fucking blew my mind. But man, I tell you, I'm so serious when I say that I think like all like the development of these religions, they kind of like go hand in hand with this shit, dog. They had to be tripped, but it's not just like religion, just like so much history is like, because the hieroglyphics, that one needs to be studied. Why do we all see hieroglyphics? And then another one that needs to be studied. When you trip, you see eyeballs everywhere. That's another one. You just see eyes everywhere. It's like, and it's so weird because like I've done deep dives on Reddit about it too. And like some people say some like freaky ass shit. They're like, their theories behind it. They're like, when you take shrooms, it's like a spiritual experience, you know? Some people will tell you that like it's just drugs and like it's just like you making it up in your head. But I, along with so many other people, think that it's more than that. It's more of like like removing the veil, you know? And so like if you do like a deep dive on Reddit about like people talking about why they think you see eyes everywhere when you're tripping, it's because you remove this veil. It's like you open up your third eye, basically. You remove this veil, and all these eyes around you are like, you know, they're spirits. This is what's actually there. This is like you're being watched. This is what things actually look like, but we just have this veil over us where we don't see it. And that's fucking freaky, bro. That's fucking freaky. Based on current information, it is unlikely that psilocybin, the psychoactive compound in magic mushrooms, can be absorbed through the skin in quantities large enough to affect pets through contact with human. Well, haha, I googled it. Oh shit, I don't know what that was in response to. Off acid, I saw Illuminati symbols on the wall going in a circle. Buddy, acid is not a good time. Acid is not a good fucking time, dog. It's not. I hate acid. I'm an acid hater. But yeah, no, that's truthfully, that's what I believe when it comes, like, I feel like if you're ever open to it, man, I don't know to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd ever do psychedelics again. I think that I finished that time in my life, which is crazy because there's so many other ones out there to try, like peyote. That is a super, like, I forgot what ethnicity that's specifically tied to. I don't know if it's like Native Americans were like heavily did like peyote. Correct me if I'm wrong. I actually don't know if I'm right on that. I know that there's specific ethnicities that are tied to that. But peyote I've heard is a million times more intense. A million times more intense than shrooms. And shrooms was intense enough for me, babe. I don't need to do peyote. Like, you know, I'm good. When I found out that it's like way more intense, yo, I'm good, babe. I don't have to do that shit. I don't have to do that. Hello? When I tripped in a cave, I literally felt like a fetus to Mother Earth and being reborn. Bro, tripping in a cave sounds horrible. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Some of y'all be doing crazy shit. Like I saw some people in the chat saying that they love going out in nature when they trip. That sounds beautiful, baby. It does. I don't know how you did that. I never once left the comfort of my home while tripping. Never once. First of all, I never tripped like during the day. If the earliest I ever started my trip was like maybe like 7 p.m., like just a little bit of daylight still out. It's just so fucking bright. It's so fucking bright. I don't know how you guys see, because it'd be 7 p.m. and it's literally like the sun is going down and I'm like squinting like, holy fucking shit, I can't see anything. I have to be like in the dark with like some LED lights. Like, oh my God, having LED lights when you're tripping and then you like change the colors. That's a whole different experience. But back to the very beginning conversation, the very beginning topic, near-death experiences. Personally, I've never had a near-death experience. But I can only imagine how like life-changing that is. I've been talking with my friend Brandy about like what he's been going through, and I think that one of the things he's been telling me is that he, you know, like every now and then he's telling me, he's like, you know, like, I'm angry. And I like always validate that. And I try to explain to him, you know, if you know anybody that's like going through something like this, or if you yourself are experiencing something like tragic like this, some people are going to try to tell you to like be happy and push through, you know, like you're going to get through this. You know what I mean? Like they're going to try to tell you that like, you know, like basically it's going to sound like they're telling you to push your feelings down, but I'm the complete opposite. And so when he's been talking to me and he's been like saying, oh, you know, like he's been cracking jokes a lot, and a lot of people cope with humor, but like my thing is that it's be angry. You should. That you absolutely should be angry. Shit, I'm angry. If I were you, oh my fucking God, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed at everybody. I'd hate everybody. I'd find a way to be angry at every single person. I'd find a way to be angry at air. I'd be angry at God. I'd be angry at the person that hit me. I'd be angry at myself because, oh, that one car that I decided to go around like a few minutes before that, had I not done that, I would be angry at everybody. That one lady at the grocery store when I was checking out this morning, like, had she been a little bit slower, or maybe if she was a little bit faster, I would find a way to be angry at everyone. And I think that that's okay. And so I've been telling him, as I've been talking to some people, I don't know if some people think that this is healthy, but I've been like, you should be angry. Yeah, you should. You know what? Fuck it. Let's be angry. I told him, I was like, you know what, today, because he had texted me, he was like, you know, like, I'm actually just feeling super angry today about, like, this person. Like, I just, like, I didn't even do anything. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, you should be angry. Fuck that guy. Matter of fact, I'll be angry with you. Let's just be angry today. You know what? Let's just be fucking angry today. Everybody in the chat, fuck it. Let's all be angry today for Brandy. That's what we're doing. We're angry today. Because that's how you should be. And I think that he has every right to feel any emotion, and you have any right to feel any emotion towards situations like this, because you know what, how the saying always goes, that it always happens to the people who deserve it the least. You know, this always happens to good people, and that's true. And I feel like everybody in life has one major tragic thing that they go through. You know, like everybody has, you know, issues and like tribulations and shit like that you will face throughout life, but there is always going to be one notable life-changing event. Some people go through it sooner, some people go through it later, but there's always one life-changing event that everybody has, whether it's they have a heart attack, they end up with cancer, they get hit by a car, just everybody has something life-changing that happens to them. And you know, a lot of people feel like when you tell them like, oh, this is just like a test for you, like this is like God testing you, you know, like this is like your strength being tested. A lot of people don't like to hear that. Some people will tell you that they don't want to like be tested. They don't want to like know their strength. They don't want to be strong. Like they don't want to go through this. And you're completely right. You shouldn't have to. But I don't think, you know, based on everything that like all the conversations that we've just had, I don't think that everything in life just happens to us. I think that everything happens for a reason. And you know, like I said, some people don't like to hear that. Some people will say to you, they're like, oh, but like, what the fuck? Like, if God's real, then like, why would this happen to me? Why would something so bad happen to me? Why would he let this happen to me? And I think that people forget that the whole point of experiencing life is experiencing life. The good stuff and the bad stuff that comes with it. And there's going to be a whole lot of bad. If you want me to be honest with you, when it comes to life, if you're a fetus and you're watching this, baby, let me go ahead and set you up. If your newborn is in the room and listening, go ahead and make sure they're awake. Because baby, life is going to be hard. It is going to be hard, and it's going to be bad, and it's going to kick you while you're down, and it's going to spit on you, and it's going to slap you. And then after that, it's going to give you something nice, something real nice, and you're going to feel happy. You are. And then it's going to smack the shit out of you again. I would say life oftentimes has a whole lot more bad than good, but it's about what you take with that, how you handle it, how you get through it, and what choices you make after that. And for a lot of people, things like this that happen to us are kind of like a hard reset. Someone said character development never stops. And that's really what it is. It's about what you do with this, because you can take this tragedy that you've been through and you can wither away. You can choose to give up. You can choose to just be angry every single day, lay in bed and just be done. You could give up. Not do anything ever again. Not try to get better. Never work again. You could just never do anything again. You could let this beat you down. You could. Or you could be strong. This test that you've been given, this one thing that you're going to go through in life that's going to be life-changing and above all, the worst thing you ever go through. You can pass the test. Because this test was given to you, not just like as a test of your strength. Everybody's given different tests. Everybody's given different levels. Every person can handle a different level of like pain. Not to be corny or anything, because like this is like low-key so corny to bring up. But there used to be this picture cycling on the internet. There used to be this picture cycling on the internet, like back in 2012. And I think it's like, I don't know, maybe it was like a wolf or like a fucking person. I don't remember. But like, one person had like an arrow in them, right? And they were like dead on the floor type shit. And then the other person was like holding them and they had like 50 arrows in their back. Like I said, like very corny, right? But honestly, very true. In the funniest way possible. Some people can handle a lot fucking more than other people. And your strength test may be worse than others. Or it may be easier than others. You know, some people have it a lot harder. But the whole point is to not compare your strength test, because the test that you were given because the universe, God, or whatever it is that you believe in knows that you can pull through on this. And here's the best part, baby. And I've said this 1,000,001 times in these podcast episodes. I have said it 1,000,000 times. And that's, hey, baby, we are rock bottom. There ain't nowhere to go but up. There is nowhere to go but up. So let's celebrate. It ain't never going to get worse than this. It literally can't. It cannot. Fuck it. Let's be happy now. Fuck it. Like, let's celebrate. We got through it. That's insane. That's literally insane. For me, this situation like really hits home for me. And that's why I'm wanting to dedicate this entire podcast episode and all of this month's subscriptions to Brandy, because if you've been around for a while, you know that back in 2021, I had a very close friend that was also in a motorcycle accident, but unfortunately, he did not make it. It was a very difficult situation. It took me a very long time to get through, and I was angry. I was, because that was definitely one of those situations where, like I said before, it always happens to the people who don't deserve it. It always happens to the people who are really great. And when I tell you, this guy was really great. His name was John, and he was, oh my God, he loved his motorcycle. I hate to say it, and it pisses me off so much. I used to get so angry about him too. Like, he would send pictures and videos of him obviously going extremely fast on his motorcycle because he loved his motorcycle. I'd get so mad at him. He would come to visit. He'd be over at my place, and all of us would be hanging out, and he'd go to leave, and I'd be like, you better not be speeding. Don't get on that road and speed. And unfortunately, the day that his life was taken, he wasn't even speeding. He wasn't. He had just enrolled back at Georgia State University. I think he was on his way to his first day of classes, and some idiot hit a U-turn in front of him. It's difficult to stop a bike. He was on a highway. I think he was only going 50. Slammed right into the back of their car. And the paramedics said that it was on impact. There was nothing that they would have been able to do. But the thing about John was, when I tell you he was a great guy, when it came to his funeral, buddy, I was confused. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Because I knew John, right? My friend group, we knew John. We go to this fucking funeral. Bitch, they had a mega church packed out. I'm talking about like auditorium style, like hella pews and shit. We're talking like multi-level, packed, every seat filled. Looking around like, what the fuck? Who are all these people? Like, me and my friends were like, we're sitting in one row. It was like me and like a couple other people. We're like, yo, who? John never told us. How many people did he fucking know? But that just goes to show how many people he touched, bro. Like, he was such a great person that if any of you had met him, you'd immediately fall in love with him. John was the best, the best person ever. But, you know, like I said, it happens to the people who don't deserve it. He had multiple children with a very beautiful woman, very beautiful kids, and he loved his kids so fucking much. He prioritized them over everything. I literally remember we'd all be smoking a blunt, and he's talking about, yeah, I gotta take my son to his baseball game. He was a good dad. He was a really good dad. But yeah, so this situation just like hits really close to home, and I'm so grateful that my friend has made it through, and I'm so grateful that he is alive and he's taking it day by day, and I would be here day by day to help him out as much as I can. So that's why I wanted to make sure I dedicated today's episode to him. I'm also going to leave the link down below in the comments and also in the description for YouTube so that you guys can check out his GoFundMe. Read about him. He's a great fucking guy. You'll see he's really awesome. He just recently took in a couple of stray cats. Like, literally the sweetest sweetheart ever. Check out his pictures. He's adorable. I love you guys so much. I truly appreciate your support. I appreciate everybody that is watching here today. You are all amazing. You are all loved very much. Like I've said before, especially a couple live streams ago, text your friends, your family, check in on everybody, remind them how much you love them. Life happens and some people get hurt. While you've got them here, remind them that you care for them. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your night. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week. It's going to be a great week. I can feel it in my bones. I love you all so much. I will see you next Friday. Bye, everybody.